Dare I say the Rebel Blue Ranch series is better than the Chestnut Springs series? Hey book besties, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about finishing up the Rebel Blue Ranch series, which is a cowboy romance series that has been on my TBR for a very long time, and we'll get into it, but oh my god. Before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button and stick around for more book content. I love sharing book reviews with you, as well as reading recommendations, reading roundups, unboxing videos, and all the fun bookish things, so make sure you're following along. So the Rebel Blue Ranch series has been on my TBR for a very long time. I remember when I first joined Book Talk, Done and Dusted was like a very popular book on there. Like, you were hearing about it all the time, so I was very excited to read it, mostly because the cover is so cute. All these covers are really cute, but this one definitely caught my eye, so I was really excited to pick it up. And I had collected the whole series. It's been on my shelf for a while, and this year I was determined to read these books. And I did. I actually started off the year with Done and Dusted. I read this on January 1st in one sitting. It was so good. And I recently completed the last book in the series, which is Wild and Wrangled. And let me tell you, this series was so good. I gave every single book in this series 5 stars. There were some I liked more than others, but still, they were all 5-star reads. So let's talk about it a little bit more. So in book 1, we meet Emmy and Brooks. Emmy is part of a family who owns the Rebel Blue Ranch farm. So this is where the story mainly takes place. It's on Rebel Blue Ranch. Emmy is a barrel racer who comes back to her hometown after suffering an injury that she kept to herself. She didn't tell anybody what was happening. So we're returning to the town with her, and she's experiencing life with her family, and she meets her brother's best friend. This was such a great way to kick off the series and really helped you drop into this family, to the vibe of this book, and it was so beautiful. The story takes place in Wyoming, and the setting was just so perfect. Like, I absolutely loved it because the way that the author described everything we were seeing, what this ranch looked like, what Wyoming looked like, it was so well written, and I could seriously picture it in my head and could just feel like a calming sense. It was so good. And then in book 2, we follow Wes, who is Emmy's brother, so he also has a stake in Rebel Blue Ranch, and he is living there as well. And he meets Ada, who is an interior designer, and she helps him take one of the houses on the property and revamp it to become like a little bed and breakfast type of place. And it was so much fun. Again, I loved the way that the author described the interior design aspect to it. It was such a big part of the book that, as somebody who writes about home design and home improvement for a living, really enjoyed that aspect of it. Just so well done. In book 3, we're following Gus, who is the oldest sibling of this family on Rebel Blue Ranch, and he has a big part in how the ranch is run, and he's actually the one who's going to be taking over when his father decides to retire. And he winds up in a relationship with Teddy, who is Emmy's best friend. These two had enemies to lovers vibes going from the first book in the series, so I knew it was going to be good, and it was. And then in book 4, we follow Cam and Dusty. Cam is Gus's baby mama. Now, they didn't have a relationship. It was like a one-night stand where they had a child together. So they are like friends and co-parents, and they have a really great relationship. And Cam has a little bit of a rocky family history, so she becomes an honorary member of the family on Rebel Blue Ranch, and this story was so good. I didn't you met Cam in the first book, but I didn't realize what her story would be until book 2. And let me tell you, when the author dropped that little nugget of Cam and Dusty being together, I was like, oh yeah, I cannot wait for this, because it's a second chance romance, which is one of my favorite tropes. Now, one thing I will say about this series, almost as a whole, is the mental health representation was so good. Nobody really was talking about that online. So when I was reading it, I was like, oh my God, this is so great to see mental health represented so well in a book. And it was mostly occurring in the first 2 books with these siblings. So in book 1, Emmy has ADHD. And as someone with ADHD, I really connected with it, and it was so relatable and real. It was actually authentically done, and I just loved that so much. And it was what I really appreciated about how the author wrote the mental health in these books is that it wasn't such a defining quality in who they were, where it was all they talked about or all they struggled with, but it was just an authentic way to represent it without making it the only thing about these characters, which is so appreciated in a book, because it makes it more real to me. And then in this book, Wes struggles with depression, which again was handled so well and so relatable and real, and how he talked about it and how he didn't mind like being open about how he felt about it. It was just really well done, and I appreciated it so much again. And then in book 3, Gus has dyslexia, which was not a main part like at all. There were like just little hints of it in the story, mostly where he was talking about how he has a daughter and he would read books to himself before he would read them to her because he wanted to get used to reading the words because he struggled with dyslexia. So it was such a great part of the character that really spoke to who he was, but also didn't make it only who he was. Like, it really was only mentioned a couple times. So I really appreciated that because it really made me feel like, okay, this is a real person dealing with something that isn't like overdone. It was just so good. I really loved it. I didn't even know that that was like a part of how this story was. And it was just, I mean, I want more people to know that because I love when books have good mental health representation, and these ones totally did. Now, this is the cowboy romance series, and cowboy romances are just very popular, and I'm loving them. So this is like, I don't know, maybe my 4th full cowboy romance series that I've read. The other cowboy romance series I've read are from Elsie Silver, which I loved them. I'm gonna say something that might be a little controversial, but on a whole, I think this series rivals Chestnut Springs. Like, I think as a whole series, this one is better than Chestnut Springs. Now, there's a couple caveats to that because like all of these books for me were 5 stars. Every single one of them, I thought they were all handled really well. The stories were very well rounded. The characters were great. There was such like, when I was reading these books, like every time I'd start a new one after finishing one, I was like comforted by this family and these characters. And I just love when a book does that. And I did feel that way in Chestnut Springs, but not all of the books in Chestnut Springs were a 5-star read for me. Like there were like 2 that were like only okay for me, but there were some that were amazing. And I will say that there were 2 in the Chestnut Springs series, Powerless and Reckless, which were so good, like amazing. Like I wouldn't put any of these books above those 2. So it's kind of like a weird thing because I feel like some of the books in the Chestnut Springs series were better than some of these books. But on a whole, if you're looking at like a whole series, this series I think is better, which is a little bit controversial to say maybe. And I do love Elsie Silver, like adore her. Her books are so good. But if you're looking for a cowboy romance series, this one on a whole was just, oh, all of them were so good. So I would definitely say that cowboy romances are one of my favorite romance books to read. I just love them so much. They're so much fun. It's just such a comforting type of read. And I just really loved this one in particular. It was really beautiful, really well done. And all these books are very short. Like they're probably just over 300 pages, if that, on some of them. I think one of them was like I think this one was definitely like 200 something pages. And I will say I did the audio for all of these books. They were all really well done, all of them in duet narration. So it was just such an experience. I loved them. Like I could definitely see myself rereading these books because they were so good. To close, let me round up the books in order of least favorite, which, I mean, they were all 5 stars, but least favorite to most favorite. Number 4 would be Lost and Lassoed. Number 3, Swift and Saddled. Number 2, Done and Dusted. And my favorite, number 1, Wild and Wrangled. Oh, I just finished this one. And this one, it was so good. It was everything I wanted it to be. I just loved these characters. Their relationship, it hit. A second chance romance will always hit for me. If you have read this series, let me know what your favorite one was in the comments, and also let me know if you're going to be adding it to your TBR if you haven't picked these up yet. Thanks for watching, besties. I'll see you next time.